Good morning. All right, so markets are consolidating here and just a lot of chop happening. So this thing to be concerned is not to get chopped up and, the frog in the blender, as we say. The markets had this run up. S&P's made new all-time high. Other markets are up at their resistance areas. So it's a normal place for the markets to stall. And this being a news-driven market, it's got something to worry about on a day-to-day basis and have its highs and lows and emotions. So I guess I don't know that today is going to produce much of anything. Tomorrow, the Fed chair speaks at the House, the next day at the Senate, and whatever economic reports are coming, well, we'll see what comes out of his mouth that might move this market because now the markets are concerned about no lowering of interest rates. That was 100% certainty only days ago. So we'll see where it all goes. Right now, for the most part, the markets are a bit, well, I shouldn't say directionless because they've been trending up, but in the daily time frame. But as you can see, the last couple of days, it just a little sideways price action. Buyers did step up on the dip. Yesterday was an inside day that went nowhere. So I guess for the moment anyway, bullish price action after a run up. And while it's not moving, our job is to stay out of the chop. And we'll see if we find things that are moving. But until this consolidation is over and the news coming out, it may not come until the latter part of the week anyway. Whatever he has to say tomorrow, well, I guess that would be an indication of whatever he's going to repeat the following day in the Senate. But so we'll see. Right now, just looking at the charts, the trends are up. Buyers are still stepping up on the dip. And we shall see if they want to step up tomorrow, at least, today in the short term, seeing that we're down at this support area. Qs. Oh, damn it. Yes, exactly what happened, Chris. Sometimes I want to choke her. I rewired this whole place over the weekend, and she just went back there and pulled the freaking wire out. Anyway, all right. Got it plugged back in. All right, so let's continue. Q, same story here, everyone. Consolidation, pullbacks into support here, and let's transports and it's the same story. Markets are just on hold. One thing on the transports here, you can see what's going on here. Well, maybe you can, maybe you can't, but there's a little bit of a concern, with this thing, with the yield curve and possibly the, they're not going to lower interest rates because you can see this head and shoulders top that's formed here. And we got the red bar last week. Well, it's a little not confusing, but not correct in that. Well, this is how they form the candles, meaning this is actually a plus. So it should be a, You know, some programs do it, a dark green candle versus a hollow one, because it's actually positive, but it closed below its open. So it's actually it's a positive close, but closing below the open. So this actually just colors it red. In any event, you can see the head and shoulders top, and it's starting to inch down. So you need to keep an eye on the transports. We don't trade this really very much. Sometimes a spread, but you know, this is something to keep an eye on to see if it could actually fail. And if it starts to go up, that'll be a positive, and it continues to go down, obviously, a negative. So keep an eye on that. Just set some alerts. You don't have to watch it, that's for sure. The Russell, somewhat similar, not exactly the same, but we have to keep an eye. And as we always do, the different markets, looking at the daily chart. And so here's something, a takeaway, a little lesson, that when you have a higher time frame, that it's not quite a confirmation yet of what might be, in this case, a head and shoulders top. Look at the daily chart. We'll go, you know, if this was an hourly chart, you can go down to the 15-minute chart. But right now, this is bullish to neutral in that it's trended up and is consolidating at resistance. So you'll get your early indication of which way this is likely to go from the smaller time frame. Caution not to go too small in time frames as an intraday trader, meaning, you know, if you were looking at an hourly and you went down to a 15, you probably should stay away from the 2, and because you'll get chopped up there. Right? So we'll see where this goes. Right now, just the same story, chopping around down a little bit, and we'll see what happens here at the open. Looking at the futures, you see just normal pullback. All right, 3-day pullback after a move up, and you know, we'll see if it holds here and begins to turn. You can see they're right down here, and buyers have begun to step up here a little bit, but the hourly's in a downtrend. So ideally, maybe we get a little retest here where this begins to go a little sideways, and then we'll give it a shot on the long side. So maybe, you know, we get a bit of a turn. Ideally, you know, these kind of turns on the daily time frame happen with a 2-day reversal, meaning this could be a down day, or if it's a green day, we get a retest. So with a 2-day reversal, sideways action, your intraday time frames get time to build a base versus just coming down in a downtrend and popping up into resistance, you know, and then you got to wait for the sideways price action, see if it breaks out. But ideally, some kind of retest where even if this was to go down and form a bottoming tail bar, the following day, that would be a good sign. So, and you could see the weekly here, you know, just taking out the prior high, red bar up against 3,000. It just makes sense, the stall here, regardless of all the news that's coming. You know, just a little bit of a, you know, sideways kind of chop, not much to really go on to say that things are going to move. So I guess the message for the day is to, unless you get a great setup, well, as usual, just stand aside and wait for things to clear up here. NQ, same thing, pulling back into the gap fill, and we'll see how it turns. You can see here, maybe it's got a drop here at the open into that area down there, where buyers will be more comfortable, you know, stepping up. So we'll keep an eye on that. It's odd how the SPY and the ES. Well, Howard, the SPY is, well, on the daily is what we call a day chart. You know, 9:30 to 4 o'clock, where the ES is trading overnight and closes for a little while. So it's a not quite 24 hours, but a 24-hour chart. So it does look a bit different. Dow coming into this support here. And again, as a downtrend, in this case, the hourly coming into support, this is where we look for the transition from down to sideways to up. And here we've got this rather conflict in all these time frames, which is going to make it a little difficult here. Meaning this is at resistance, which would is supportive of a pullback in this time frame, or at least sideways price action, right? That would be bullish sideways price action at resistance. We got here an uptrend, right? I don't like this where it just marginally took out that high. This is where your indicator mythology people will show you, you know, their bearish divergence here, and then get confused with all their settings. But just looking at the momentum of a move, when you see strong move, just barely taking out the high, and then it begins to stall, the momentum is stalling. It doesn't mean the trend is going to change. All right, so once it makes the higher high, you mark off the prior pivot low as your major support. And if it breaks down below that, it's not in an uptrend anymore. So I say you don't need trend lines, you don't need fib lines. All you need is a price chart and know how to read the price data. And what else? Oil up here a little bit, but right up into a little sell area, halfway up into that big red bar there. And simple moving averages. You know, been doing this a lot of years. Looked at exponentials some years ago. No advantage there. Exponential type will tend to be a little more popular with futures or you know, currencies, where those traders think they get a little bit of an edge. What you really want to do is, if you need, you know, just kind of see what the majority are using and just use what the majority uses, so everybody's looking at the same thing. You know, self-fulfilling prophecy when it comes to putting things on the chart other than price. Bonds is chopping around here after that nasty move down last week. And so we'll see. It hasn't violated support yet. Right now it's just consolidating down here. So another market that is just waiting for information. And we get, as I already mentioned, the Fed chair speaking tomorrow and the next day, and everybody will be listening to every word that comes out of his mouth to see if it gives any indication. Gold down a little bit here, but same thing. Consolidating the gain, a little bit wider range of consolidation, which is just fine after the nice move up that it had, clearing that price resistance for over multiple years. So looks pretty bullish still, just consolidating the gain. So no big deal there. Well, Dan will go over some of these movers here. One thing that, you know, just based on what you know, this consolidation and pullbacks, one thing to look at that I saw before that I'll see if it actually can make the turn was Uber. And doesn't look like much of anything. It's kind of chopped and it's a deep retracement here, but right at major support. So this is something I'll just keep an eye on to see if it can make a turn even for day trades, or maybe it turns around here since it's at this level of support there. And there's lots of other stuff that we'll kind of go through and see what shapes up, but this might be where it's ready to at least attempt to turn back higher again. So all yours, Dan.
All right, thanks. Good morning. All right, the weekly options trader. Amazon put spread with a tightened stop. That looks fine. Twilio put spread with a tightened stop. And we covered half. EWZ, a new trade yesterday. The Roku never got filled, even though that was a beautiful setup. And Xilinx, we gave into the close over 115.95, and just right into the close it triggered. If you're not in it, Fabian's asking, still looks great. If it can take out yesterday's high with a gap down in the market, that's better. Now the swing and options trader. Zulu Sierra put spread. RVLV, we bought stock over the high. Had a nice open gain and closed weak, you know, but we have a big stop. CMG put spread. EWZ, I gave it to both letters, the put spread. THC, short stock. Whiskey Papa, long stock. Cody, it just triggered. We're long stock on that also. Wide range bar, breakout to all-time highs. And if it stalls, then I might leg into a covered call. Snap, we bought calls, long calls where we only paid a penny of time value. And it got an upgrade today, so it's up a little bit here. Run, longer term trade in the solar space. And Run, I was watching Run with SPWR. Remember we bought this one. I just put a chart in the private Facebook group. Beautiful, beautiful pro gap there. We sold it in one day because it just had a huge run. And I just regret not getting us back in over this bar. Right there. The old White House, it held the stop just by a few pennies, but we're out of a third of it. Milan, we're long stock with a trailing stop. Actually, Milan's stop, oh, it's 1908, so it did just trigger it yesterday. All right, let me close that one out at a gain. And finally, RPD. We have a covered call with a Titan stop under Friday's low. All right, so no problems or gifts that looks like we got to worry about today. Overstock, wow. That came out of that base amazingly. Look at that, $90 stock down to 10. Netflix, anything green with the bearish gap down in the market is relative strength. So I saw a little Roku turning green, but there's no pattern. So if we did anything with that, it would just be a day trade pattern. IBM closed its deal on Red Hat. Nothing to do though. Solly, 1750, gapping down $1, but no trade. CEI, gapping up 50 cents to 250, no trade. Look at that trend, wow. 22,000 here on the monthly. You know, I'm sure they've done some reverse splits along the way. Cisco buying a company, gapping down, which is usually the case. No pattern. Check, a little penny stock. Well, it's a penny stock now. Look on the monthly. It used to be 35 bucks. Square gapping up, got an upgrade. Nice bullish monthly. Even though this is a lower high, this is a higher low. That's worth keeping an eye on and put him here. Noah, bearish gap yesterday, gapping down some more. Looking lower, but no great entry. Triple M. Wow, remember we traded this? We had a put spread in here, took our profits. It got a downgrade. No setup though. Pepsi had earnings, was up higher. Ariana Grande keeps saying God is a woman. Pepsi, it's no pattern. What a big old mess. I found this one when I was typing in Boyd over the weekend. Not Boyd, Beyond. So it was a typo. And I'm like, oh, hey, this might be a put spread for us. Cody, I mentioned earlier, we're long stock. Whiskey Papa I mentioned. All right, so I'm kind of done with cappers. Greg, do you have some more you want to take a look at? These are all just leftover. SAIC is a 1, 2, 3 I like. C block. These were, I was scanning the hack sector over the weekend. 10B, you know, coming out of a base, but nah, we can find better. Intel, a mess. LVS, ever since this nice gap up here, I've been watching it. And it's still worthy of a watch. These are a couple of recent IPOs. Well, REAL, it's kind of a 1, 2, 3 right there. Off the bottom, but look at the intraday. I don't like that intraday at all. Work is not working for the shareholders. Either is Fiverr. Chewy, nothing. Crowd, nothing. Tilray, dog, we stopped out of yesterday. Oh, there's Beyond. I was looking at this for a put spread over the weekend, but two problems. Number one is, even though it's sideways above the 20, these are not potent reversal bars. So I didn't trust them for holding. And number two is it's hard getting good credit because of the expensive out of the money puts. There's Uber, his cousin Lyft, are both garbage. MJ, I said, looks like a, oh, somebody in the Facebook group asked me about, hey, Dan, why were you looking at this as a put spread? And I said, well, I always give you the reason, and I typed it right in there, and it said, if triggered, say the trigger was over last week's high, right? If triggered, it would be a break of a descending triangle, but it's still in a downtrend. I see that. And I said yesterday, and now it looks like it wants to crack this descending triangle and go test this prior low. And that's why we demand that our setups trigger. They have to trigger to prove the pattern. And of course, we go down to smaller time frames and we can get on early. All right, all these things are a mess. Wow. I got nothing in the FANG department. Here's Apple. If this gap down is real, pre-market, and it holds right here, then over the pre-market high could be just a day trade only because of this price void. Do you all see that? All right, Greg's, you can look at this link. Greg's posting the moving average SIBO put call volume. And let's see, what color is that? He's pointing to the, well, the raw number is 0.94, which is neutral. And then the MA, 0.88. That's all, it's not extreme either. See, we read these as contrarians. So too low is too bullish and too high is too bearish. I guarantee you folks, you pick this date up here where it was too high, I will guarantee, without even looking at the spiders, with 99% certainty, I will bet anybody $1,000 that was a tradable low in the spiders, that it bounced from there. So anyone, Debbie, you want to take that bet? I know LaDon would if he were here. So that's why, you know, these internals, if you know how to use them properly. I said yesterday into the close with this spiders bearish gap under the low, it looked like a day trade short. And that's what we're getting right now. Bearish gap, bearish pre-market, cracking right now at 929. So I got a bearish bias here. at the open. And I am done. The bell's going to scare me any second here. Hey, LaDon, we noticed that both you and Debbie were missed. That I was ready for the bell today. We're missing yesterday. Is there anything you need to tell us about the conspicuous absence of you two? All right, Netflix here popping. Oh, Boeing, I noticed more weakness today. Number one, what were you doing in the closet together? All right, no need to answer. And number two, why were you both crying? Look at Netflix as the best FANG popper right here. But no pattern. Look at Square here in my little 5-minute window. I like Square. I like this better than any of the FANGs. It's right up here at resistance. So FANG is a 5, 10, 15-minute high candidate. That's the best long I've seen so far this morning. Right there, Square. If anyone has a better one, throw it out. Glancing at our opens here. A couple that we were watching from yesterday. Look at Costco is on my list. I had Walmart is cruising on uptown after a TSS I like. All right, Xilinx we're in, gapping down, so do not touch it unless it takes out yesterday's high. And see, that's a prime example of many times I just say, you know what, let's avoid a night of gap risk and let's wait for today to do it over yesterday's high. The pattern's not destroyed, but I wish I did that, right? I wish we waited